Hi, welcome to Inside the Moms Club, where being a mom is the coolest place to be. Here in the Moms Club, we believe that what embarrasses you now will make a great story later. And let's face it, if you don't laugh sometimes, you're going to cry. Join us in having a good laugh together. I'm Monica Samuels. You are now inside the Moms Club, your private destination for all things mom. Welcome, moms. Welcome to Inside the Moms Club. I'm Monica Samuels, and I'm here with my co-host today, Julie Orkin.
Good morning.
Hey, Julie. How are you?
I'm good.
You're looking good for an early morning.
I'm telling you, I'm
here
ready
we
to
are,
go.
ready to go for today.
It's Friday.
And you're looking good, even though you are a new mom.
I am a new mom. So today is my daughter's 19th birthday, and what I gained when she left for college is a brand new puppy, and oh my. It's a lot.
So you're lucky you're up today, because
Yes.
with new puppies or like infants, you have to stay up all night.
There's a lot of waking up. There's a lot of going outside. There's a lot. She's like a water buff. She just drinks and drinks and drinks water. So there's a lot of control there. So
you have a sheepadoodle.
I do. She's amazing.
And I have a labradoodle who is turning out to be bigger than we thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
So, but my puppy's
like Fozzie
6
the
months
bear.
old, and yours is 2?
No, like 13 weeks.
Oh, yours is really little.
Yeah, like I really have a newborn.
Well, Julie and I both sent our puppies to a special ranch so they could have a little, supposedly to train.
Yeah, it's like the Disneyland.
I say supposedly, that wasn't
For
really fair.
dogs.
She did train them. They know some commands. But it is like Disneyland for dogs. That's exactly what it
Right.
is. So that she sends pictures of them, having a great time, going to
Pictures.
Starbucks. I mean, what else?
I have more videos of
Yeah.
this dog than I do of my child when she was a baby.
Yeah.
Like that's, yeah.
And they have a
a lot.
really good time there. And it's awesome. It's this 5-acre ranch, and it's just great. Except when they come back, and I have to warn you, because this is kind of what happened with Luca. He had such a great time, and then he came back to our boring house. And
It's not Disneyland.
It's not Disneyland.
My house isn't Disneyland either.
So he was trying to make his own fun, and that included chewing up a stair
Like
and
the
all
whole
the
thing.
carpet. And so, and destroying another carpet. So I just wrote a check for them to fix that. And so then I called her in desperation. I was like, Angela, he's just out of control. And she said, well, he had so much fun on the ranch. When they come to the ranch, they just get so stimulated and have such a great time that you have to
Right.
you have to keep it going.
Well, you're boring, and I'm
We are-
boring.
yeah.
That's
So-
kind of like how the kids are like, well, we had fun today, but now you're boring. I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah,
It's
so
nothing new.
I just have to warn you. Now you have a girl,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a male dog,
Correct.
and I have another female dog, and she's 8 years old, and we lost our dog of 12 years a year before that, and so Cookie, she had adjusted, I think, to that, and she actually was kind of enjoying being the solo kid in town, and then when we brought Luca home, she's been looking at us like,
Why?
what did I do?
What did I do to deserve
Yeah,
this?
I thought I'd been really good to these people. And they're-
Well, the funny part about it is you have a dog and I have a dachshund, and this sheepadoodle runs along and bites the dog's head. And I mean, she's still queen bee, but it's a lot for her. She just doesn't get it.
Is that a puppy thing? Because
Yeah,
Luca's
totally.
biting Cookie's head. So
Right. Well, maybe Luca and Scout should just.
maybe they should hang out together. Although Luca, it's about time for him to be fixed, neutered,
because
whatever.
they can't hang out.
Well,
until
because
that
he's sick.
happens.
That's true. Yeah, we may have aspirations
Yeah.
of being related some way someday. Maybe our kids will get married. Who knows? But I don't know that we want puppies together. I'm not sure that that's kind of in the
No,
cards.
That's
So,
definitely not in.
yeah,
in
let's
my
kind of
future.
avoid that. But yes, Luca's at a place where I hope this helps because he's kind of getting out of control.
He's a little wild man.
Well, I don't want to say attacked is not the right word, but a friend came to visit and he was quite partial and fond of her in a way that was very embarrassing. So Um,
Yeah, you better make that appointment.
yeah,
Mhm.
sadly, I have to do that. It's about time to do that. Well, I am so excited today. I mean, we are super
Yeah,
excited today
it is
because
thrilling.
we have as our guest, our special guest today, a woman you will all recognize.
Hmm.
She played Cindy Brady on the Brady Bunch, but following that, she went on to have a further career, and she was a radio host in LA for many years. She had a radio show, a great presence there. She's a graphic artist. Um, she is involved in animal welfare
Welfare?
issues, which is
Yes,
awesome, which we can
we
totally
totally can
appreciate.
relate.
And so we are so thrilled to have as our guest today Susan Olsen. Welcome, Susan. Welcome to the
Hi.
Moms Club.
Hi, I just want to talk about your dogs. I'm so
Yeah.
jealous. I'm so jealous. I moved into a new place and I have been living in a situation where I couldn't have a dog. And I found out recently that my friends all have like a betting pool about how long it would take for me to
Oh,
get a
yeah,
dog.
yeah.
That I've already surpassed their expectations because I have a 14-year-old cat who I think has
Oh,
always wanted to be an only child. And I'm gonna, it's bad enough that I'll probably be taking in a foster opossum. So
yes, I saw
I'm
you
I'm
hold that
just I'm
possum.
gonna let him be the king of the castle because I've had at times like I did cat rescue, and so
Hmm.
he's always been around a whole bunch of animals, and now he's the only guy, and he's really enjoying it. So
So, Susan,
just
I'm
a little
surprised
cat.
about that. I thought you were going to say I have like, horses and llamas and,
I have
cats and
access to
dogs.
them. I have
Yes.
many friends that are horses, and oh, I have a llama named Gizmo.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know a great many wonderful animals. I work with, I'm on the board of directors for a shelter, a sanctuary called Spirit of Animals in
Mm.
Acton, California. And I'm telling you, I've been to a lot of sanctuaries. This one is special to me because the lady that runs it, Rhea Gardner, um, I swear she's magical.
Yeah.
And every animal, and there's a couple hundred animals at this place, they all relate to humans.
Huh.
And they all seem to understand love. And I give
Mm.
her total credit for that. It's really neat. Like there's a turkey there
Yeah.
that you can
Mhm.
have a conversation with. Ruin Thanksgiving forever, but
Right. Right. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And it's all tofu
So
after that.
tell us about that. How did you get involved in animal welfare? Where did that spark, as a child into adulthood or
well, as a child, I was born with Ellie Mae Clampett syndrome.
hmm
Love the critters, love animals, and my family. This was back. This is like 60 years ago that I was born. We lived in Tarzana, which was not the McMansion place that it is now. It was the country. It
Yeah.
was known for horses. I used to wake up to the sound of the neighbors' roosters, and they were very animal oriented. I had a
Hmm.
pet squirrel when I was 9, pet opossum. We always had like 3 to 5 dogs and several cats. And so I always loved animals. And after my son was born,
Mm.
he was about 5 or 6. And I ran into an old friend of mine from high school. And so, we did the whole, oh, let's exchange
Yeah.
numbers and
Yeah. Yeah.
emails.
Yeah.
And he sends me this email saying, because this is the foster program at the shelters. And he said, I just, you love animals. I think you'd be good at this. So I thought I'd, send it your way. So it was a flyer about it. And my immediate thought was, no, 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 I can't have a, house full of kittens and puppies. And then I went, wait a minute, a house full of kittens and puppies? Yeah.
Yeah.
And my son had been diagnosed with autism. And okay, this is my altruistic version
Right.
that I thought it would be good for him to develop empathy, to have these foster babies around. Of course, it was really me. Just, you put
Yeah.
a kitten in my hand, and I'm 9 years old, and it's Christmas. So anyway,
Yeah.
I got trained and I got approved, and I had my first litter, and really it was all kittens nothing but kittens because it's raining kittens out there. People don't
Yes.
spay and neuter,
I know.
and they let their cats roam around. So there's all kinds of kittens being born without a place to live. People will
Yeah.
bring the kittens in a shoebox
And
without the
deliver.
mother.
Mhm.
And so they need foster parents to bottle feed them.
It's an intense
So,
amount of work, but I do have a question for your son about so I have a daughter who does animal assisted therapy, which I think is brilliant. And so is with this dog, Rio, who's in the room. And I was really hot on finding something that she could connect to. Did it help your son in any way, be able to like, have empathy or develop, a love connection with some of the
we'll
animals?
never know how he might have turned out without it, but
Yeah.
I believe so. And there was one crazy night that we were having fires as we do,
Yeah.
and all of our foster moms had to evacuate, so everybody came to my house, and I had 63 cats in the house for one night, and they were all mostly in one room, and my son asked if he could go into the room. I'm like, well, okay, at your own risk. And I heard him after a few minutes. He came out of the room, and I overheard him say, "I love my life." And
Oh,
I went,
yeah.
"Michael, did I just hear you say you love your life?" And
Yeah.
he goes, I just said, "What were you thinking?" He goes, "There's over 50 cats in there, and they all love me." And I
Oh,
thought, okay,
Hmm.
yeah.
it's done it. Another thing that was very helpful for him, plug for Carousel Ranch. He's had a lot of different therapies, but
Mm-hmm.
the therapeutic horseback riding
Yes.
was
Equine therapy
really
is
good.
it's
Really
really,
good.
it really
Yeah.
is.
He couldn't ride a bike
Yeah.
until he got on the horses. And I mean, he's very, very, very high functioning, but there were little weird things
Mm-hmm.
like he'd get on a tricycle
Yeah. Yeah.
and he wouldn't compensate. Like he'd go in the divot in a driveway
And you're like,
and just go, you know.
My son still does that,
my son,
actually.
yeah, I was
I mean,
like, I'm not sure any
yeah,
of our kids
he
can
it's kind of
accomplish
yeah,
that.
for him that's been tough. Let me ask you. Let's let everybody's going to want to know. You were Cindy Brady
Yes.
many many years ago, and how did you segue from in your life from being that iconic, having that iconic role, which is I'm sure has followed you throughout your life, to transitioning to your career, which has been on radio and as a journalist and doing so many other things. How did you make that transition? How did that happen? Because not every person in your position successfully does that.
Mm.
Well, I would say making the transition into other things, it actually was helpful because in regular life and regular careers, people have this sense of knowing you. And because I didn't play an axe murderer, um, they have a sense of me being nice.
Yeah.
So I get a little credit right off the
Yeah.
top, subconsciously, before people even get to know me. There's this subconscious feeling of I feel like I grew up with her,
Yeah.
because I don't go around telling people who I am. But when it comes to acting, total opposite.
Yeah.
And you do find very few child actors transition well into acting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a stubborn type, and I wanted to be different from that, but I learned that it was just me being stubborn, saying I'm going to be the one that transitions, that overshadowed a much deeper thought, which is I hate acting. Why am I pursuing acting? And I came to realize that I got a job on divorce court and drove home going, oh no, wait a minute, I don't want to do this. And so after I did the gig, I called my agent, I called my teacher, and I said, this is not where I want to be.
Mm.
And my boyfriend at the time had gone to the San Francisco Art Institute, and I was just terribly jealous of him. And I realized I wanted to get into the visual arts. Now I teach acting, and I don't have. It always created like a fear of acting, in me because it was so difficult. I would go on auditions, and the things that I did well, which were roles like playing axe murderers and drug addicts, and they would just go, we can't hire Cindy Brady for this. And I'm like, well, screw Cindy Brady.
Yeah.
Eve Plum got to play a prostitute.
I mean, come on.
I remember that. Well, you mentioned calling up a friend from high school. What was it like to go through your teenage years with people being yourself, but to a lot of people, you're Cindy Brady? I mean, was that a tough time for you, or did you just really roll with it, or how did that?
It was in grade school. And I have to say, much to our credit, and part of why we're all pretty normal people today, all of us Brady kids went back to regular school during the school year. Yeah. And it wasn't until like maybe the last season that we went to private schools. But I would get teased for the stupid things that Cindy did. But by the time I got into high school, people are cooler than that. They just talk behind your back, and they don't tease you. But I fought tooth and nail to go to regular high school because my parents wanted me to go to an all-girls school, which I thought I would have been miserable because all my friends were guys. And it's tough. You have to, there's a lot of, there's a lot of kind of putting yourself down just to let people know that you don't think you're special, and you maybe go a little too far in that. But I mean, my friends would get to the point where they couldn't think of me as being Cindy at all, and they all preferred me because I'm much nicer, and I don't tattletale.
Right.
And I'm not a terrible pet owner. I'm sorry. That's one of my things about the Brady Bunch. They were terrible pet owners.
This is, now that I think about it, that's true.
Yeah. Buffy, where'd she go?
Who's watching her? Like, what's happening? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I wanted to touch base on you teaching these kids and what you, as far as acting goes. Tell us a little bit about that, like the classes that you teach.
Well, I was teaching acting, and I got started in it. My boss actually convinced me to do it, and she drugged me into it, screaming and fighting. And I work with Tracy Gold from Growing Pains. Yeah. She also works there. We've taught together at times, and she was the same way. I don't want to teach children. And then we ended up really liking it. I moved on from teaching acting to developing a class that I really like, called filmmaking for children. Yeah. And so it's really creative. It's really creative for me because it's me and these kids, and we sit around, we come up with a story idea. We end up making a short film, but we, they develop their characters. We write a script. We start rehearsing it. There's very little time to teach them acting, which kind of shows in some of the production. But I teach them things
being creative.
How to read a call sheet, how to schedule one, framing a scene, editing. I'm really kind of obsessively into editing. If I were a little younger, if I had a do-over, I'd go to film school.
Right.
I'd probably be a filmmaker or an editor or both. And teaching, putting in the music. If we have time, we'll even do a little bit of marketing, like designing the DVD cover, and just really having fun playing with kids.
Yeah.
That's really,
thank the parents. Thank you, for letting me play with your kids.
That's really cool. So we interviewed a mom who 2 of her kids appeared on Broadway. One of them played Annie on Broadway, and now she's in the show Stranger Things. And they moved their entire family at the instigation of the kids because they really wanted these careers to New York so they could do this. And we talked to her a little bit about stage parents and things like that. Were your parents, what got you started? Because you said in the end you weren't that thrilled about acting. Were you kind of pushed in that direction, or did you drive it, or how did that
No,
happen?
I really did drive it, but it's, I have to work on my memoirs,
Yeah.
because it's all very strange. My grandmother believed in magical thinking,
Uh,
and she called it her prayers. My dad called it her curse. But every kid, there are 4 kids in the family, we all got discovered to be in acting.
oh.
And much to my father's anguish, because he hated it. He hated the business. He did not want his kids to be actors. Mom would talk him into it, go, well, look, it was fate. They
Yeah.
were walking down the street and she loved it. I mean, the poor
And it
guy.
just happened. Yeah.
Well, it really did. I mean, she was literally standing on a street corner with my oldest brother. And this was back in like the 30s. I mean, my brother was 24 when I was born.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And an agent pulled up the car and got out of the car and handed her card and said, take this boy to Fox Studios tomorrow. They're looking for a little boy that looks like him. And my mom, had to plead with dad to let her go.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, come on, he's not going to get it. And I can see the inside of a movie studio. And he came out with a script under his arm. He got the part.
Wow.
And long story short, so he's working. And then the next brother comes along. My mom brings him to the set for some reason. And a director comes by and goes, that baby has a mouth like Gene Tierney. I want that baby to play her son. So he started.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then my sister got discovered for a commercial. I got discovered, but then my sister got out of the business when she was 8 and I was 5. And my mom said, good, I'm just going to lead a normal life. And then I was in kindergarten and I got picked to sing a song on the Pat Boone Show.
Oh, my goodness.
And I remember my mom saying to me, I took you out of the business. You never made that choice. Do you want to do this? And I'm like, oh, yes, mommy, please.
Well, you must work on your memoir. These are amazing stories.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. I read Shirley Temple's, biography. I'm writing a children's book. So long story, but her story is very similar to your story. In fact, even, your hair is not naturally curly.
No.
From what I understand, that your youngest one in curls, yours was, neither was hers.
The youngest one in curlers.
Yeah.
Colors. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she had a similar experience and similar kind of parents, but your story is even broader because it's not just you; it's your whole family. And I think of like, okay, how did you were asked if you wanted to go back in the business. How did your 8-year-old sister say, I think I'm ready to move on to a different career, like second grade? I mean, what happened there?
Well, with my brothers too, like my oldest brother had done couple of pilots. He did a pilot for a TV show and it didn't sell. And I think that kind of crushed him. Because it was a Western and he got to play a cowboy and he did his own trick riding. And so he went into the Navy. And my brother Chris, who was in the movie The Man Who Knew Too Much, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, really thought that he would continue in movies and did not want to do television. And that didn't really pan out for him, and he got drafted.
Mm.
So he got out of the business. But I mean, they both willingly got out of the business. And then my sister, at the age of 8, she had 3 pilots. 2 of them didn't sell, and the third one sold. And she was going to be on a TV show. And Ann Southern was the star of the show. And back then they had sponsors, and I think it was Colgate that was the sponsor, and they told Ann Southern to lose 10 pounds, and she told them where to go.
Yeah.
So a TV show. So that really frustrated Diane, and she was missing. When you're a little kid, you're planning on playing with your friends, and your mom picks you up at school and says you have an audition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
So that's funny that you say that. But I mean, this is fascinating. Fascinating. I can't wait for you to sit down and write. Because I can tell my daughter is in theater, and she started to not like it in high school. So it kind of started backpedaling, but then she got a small scholarship at our college, and now it's it's like she's doing it on her own and she's learning all kinds of new things. So it's really now on her terms and passion. It
Yes, a
doesn't
whole
mean that I
different
won't
ballgame.
take her to stand on the street corner and go, come on, we're going to go. We're going to stand at this stoplight. I'm just kidding. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
so
does, because I did find more of a love for it, and I went to the American Academy of
yeah,
Dramatic Arts. But I think it was really more about being jealous of my boyfriend going to art school and wanting more to pursue that, rather than acting. And I learned how to teach it
yeah.
by
You
going
found some
to the
amazing
academy.
passions though, really. You're
Yeah,
an
and
art.
I think, like, I can do it now. I don't
Yeah.
get in my way. If somebody offers me a role now, I do it. And believe me, I'd do anything to be in the next Alien movie.
Oh,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Well,
That's my
put it out.
I
dream.
love this
Put it
side.
put
I
it
think
out
it's
there right now.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
I,
awesome.
That is
I put
great.
it out there everywhere I go. Ridley Scott, please. I mean,
I look forward to that.
I
And to
do.
the other
I
things
do
that are
that.
coming
Your
up for
I
you.
want
book
to
and
be
everything.
killed by a xenomorph.
So badly. So badly.
Yeah. Well, it's really awesome because we talk, obviously we talk to moms all the time
Yeah.
on this show, and what we find is moms, we live our lives now in acts ourselves. There's, for
Yeah.
you it was your Hollywood period, and then you're on radio and you're a graphic artist, and so yeah, it's just it's
Yeah.
refreshing to
it's
see.
refreshing.
Yours just
Yeah,
started
it
a
is.
little
And
younger.
I kind of have a hard time understanding how people stay at this. Like, my dad was at the same job for 30 years.
Yeah.
And just like, I was an art director at a regular firm, and 5 years into it, I'm going, where's my hiatus?
Yeah.
When do we stop production? There's this weird
Mhm.
feeling of, why am I still doing the same thing?
Yeah.
And with the teaching, everything's a production. The last one we did was we did a mashup of two musicals. It was The Wizard of Annie. Oh, and this is at Vibe Performing Arts in
Oh.
Santa Clarita. Got to plug them.
Yeah.
I have somebody that I work with now that's just as great a creative partner as I've ever had. So it's really very fulfilling. Doesn't pay a lot, but it's very rewarding.
That's great.
We have some Zoomer moms.
We do. So we have some Zoomer moms who want to ask you some questions, Susan. So let's bring in all the Zoomer moms. Welcome, Zoomer. So glad that you all could join us today. First, we have Jennifer Marsh. She's the mother of a son and a daughter. Next, Leslie Harrell, who also has a son and a daughter. Kelly David, who has two sons, who is, I understand, a baseball mom like myself. We need to talk later, Kelly. Helen Savage, who has a lovely daughter, Olivia, who's just started 5th grade. And Lisa Morris, who has two daughters and lives just well north of Dallas, almost to Oklahoma. And full disclosure, she is my sister. So
Yeah.
we thought it would be nice because we watched the Brady Bunch together as children, that we would,
Aw.
and she was very much like Jan. That's all I can say. Okay.
I am the middle sister. We have 3 girls, and I am the middle sister.
That's
so
true.
We have
We
something
could all-
in common with the Bradys.
We could all relate. Well, Lisa, let's start with you then, since you've just been introduced. Do you have any questions for Susan?
Well, you know what? I have really enjoyed listening to you, and I'll tell you what. When I was listening to you just now talk about your kind of career transitions, it really made me think, why am I just sitting here doing the same old thing every day? So you've inspired me this morning.
Oh,
I did have one question. I am a huge HGTV fan, and I loved watching you do the Brady House. And I was just wondering, because I always hear these people say, oh, they script them to say everything. And how spontaneous was this whole thing? And did y'all, I mean, I see you really working on it. What did you think when you finished the whole project? And kind of talk a little bit about that.
I'm here to tell you that it's not scripted. Thank goodness. And part of that is because they didn't need to script us, because we have the same chemistry together anytime we get together. I would like to have worked on it more. I think all of us kind of wanted to get our hands dirtier. And it was one of the like, no, we have professionals to do that. You just start the project, but I can complete it.
Yeah.
So that's the only regret, but the whole thing was just to me, it was such an artistic dream because it was one guy at HGTV that just went, we have to have the house. And then he's like, we have to have the Brady's. And they really didn't know what they were going to do, but they just knew they had to. And it sort of evolved. And I just love people that are daring enough to work that way. And HGTV, they were the nicest people in the world. So, I mean, the only thing that was even close to being scripted was they would do these recaps and you'd be asked the same question like 25,000 times. But other than that, I mean, everything was very spontaneous.
Well, then I have one little other question about that, and I'll let you go. What did you think about when the house was finished, like seeing that really as a house compared to the sets you worked on and stuff like that?
Well, in a way, I felt vindicated because as a little girl, I asked the producers, I said, why did you pick that house for the exterior shots? There's, it's a one-story house. It doesn't make sense. And they said, I have you know that if you walk into that house, it looks just like this set. And, I couldn't get my brain around that. And my mom finally said, honey, they're just trying to shut you up. So seeing the actual house and seeing how completely different it was, and then wondering how on earth are these people going to do it? And I even, because I've got the equipment on my drafting programs that I put the top story on the bottom story. And it's like, this doesn't work. Can't do it. And it's a miracle. So to walk in there, it's very strange because you have the sense of being on the set. And it was poignant because like Maureen immediately saw Florence and Bob in there. And I saw my mom off to the side where there shouldn't be a wall. There should be, the crew and craft services and my mother. So, and then having a ceiling was just bizarre.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
So it's surreal.
Kelly, do you have any questions for Susan?
Yeah, I actually do. And it's different from what I was going to say originally, just from listening to you in this interview. I love how you've taken something from when you were a little girl and you decided that's not exactly what I love. And you've morphed your life into doing something, that inspires you, and you've just constantly changed but kept some of the good foundations and morals and things that you believe in, but morphed it into something that you love. And that's definitely something I try to teach my own kids. You can create something that you're interested in and help people and make it beautiful. Were you ever uncomfortable when you were making those decisions and changing something because you thought, well, this could turn out really bad? And how did you just kind of keep with your foundation and your morals?
Always. It was always uncomfortable because I'm financially probably the least successful, Brady. Artistically, I could say I might be the most successful. Although Mike Lookinland is artistically living a very fulfilling life because he has a concrete business where he designs and creates these high-end countertops, and he's an artisan. But just the whole not having a steady foundation and a steady job. My work has always been feast or famine. And but the good side of that was that I'm not against working mothers because I know that we all end up in situations where we have to. I'm old fashioned. I believe very much in that one parent should be at home. And I wanted to be that parent. And my husband had other ideas. He thought I should support him. So I wasn't going to have 2 kids. Anyway, we got divorced. But being that everything was on me, there were times that my manager would say, take this, there's this job and there's this job. I'm like, I was so lucky. I worked for Big Pharma, which sounds terrible, but it was wonderful because I had a job as a migraine spokesperson, and I left town once a month. And the rest of the time I was a stay-at-home mom. And it was so perfect, so wonderful.
Yeah.
When I'd go out of town, I left my son with my sister. And so I was extremely lucky. But there were times when my manager would say, well, there's this job and this job and this job. And I'd say, that's going to take me away too much. And he said, but if you make more money, you can have more freedom. I'm like, yeah, but I can't go back to my son and say, be 3 again. I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent
so
point.
To me, being a mother was always, I mean, the minute I looked at his face, I was like, oh, my life is over. I'm done. I'm done. This is it. This is the focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helen, do you have any questions for Susan?
My gosh, I have so many questions. I don't even know where to begin, Susan. I have to say, though, that when I told a friend I was doing this morning, she asked me if I was going to braid my hair.
Your friend needs help.
My hair doesn't look very good, like yours did braided.
Yeah, people say to me, where are your pigtails? I'm like, I'm 60 years old. Pigtails, it would be a little odd.
But I do look forward to sharing the Brady Bunch with my 10-year-old. We're just finishing up 9 seasons of Little House on the Prairie together. So Brady Bunch will be maybe a couple more years. But
that's a very, very good idea. And I urge everybody, force feed your children the Brady Bunch, because they're getting something that they may not have for very long. Because I'm just waiting. If things keep going the way they are, I'm waiting for the Brady Bunch to be banned, because it's a nuclear family with a patriarchy, a father that isn't an idiot, and the kids and the parents respect each other. And there's very simple little life lessons in there that I think are invaluable. I wish my son could have gotten into it.
It's amazing. It's amazing what my daughter has learned in conversations that have created around just Little House on the Prairie. I mean, she now knows what an alcoholic is because of, too much drinking. And that was yesterday's topic. But anyway, so I guess,
and you know that it's treated well on that
exactly.
show. You can trust that show. Yeah.
So my question is, what Monica brought something up earlier about, second acts, third acts, and I've been in a career for a long time and transitioning to new things and new opportunities, and I know you've had a variety of careers, and different paths that you've taken. And is there any 1 or 2 tips that you have to, keep focus and not try to do too many things?
That's kind of one of my problems, is I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. When my son was little, I think the important thing was to make sure I didn't do too much so that I didn't have time for him. That was the main focus. But my family, particularly my grandmother, who really believed in magical thinking, that's kind of literal. We were raised in the Church of Religious Science, which is not Scientology, it's science of mind, the power of positive thinking. And so it was like, pay attention to that voice inside your head that says, wait, look into this or do that. And I think Mike Luganland, Bobby Brady, is a perfect example of that, because he's reading this book that his wife brought home. She just had this whim to bring home a book on concrete. And he's reading it, and then he had a whim, and the next thing you know, he created a business out of it. And pay attention to those little voices in your head going, I could do that.
I love Christopher Knight's furniture business too.
Yes.
I mean, his stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, and that just snowballed.
Yeah.
He's a great businessman.
Thank you, and I look forward to your book as well.
Jennifer, do you have any questions for Susan?
I do. It's so fun to hear your story about having a brother who in the 30s was picked up on the street. And obviously now we interview people who have children, in the, 2020 trying to be child actors. In your mind, has the industry improved a lot for child actors? Is it a better course? Because it sounds like you wouldn't necessarily, you would go into it carefully if you were doing it again.
Yes, and I kind of stress to the parents of my students, I'm teaching acting because it's good for them in whatever they choose to do. My goal is not necessarily to make them professional actors, although when they get signed and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm really happy for them. One of the things is that I believe in stage moms. I think the only bad stage mom, the stage moms get a bad rap from directors and producers who think they're in the way. Well, that's a good stage mom because they're in the way because they're looking out for their kid.
Yeah, they're an advocate.
The bad stage mom is the one that drops their kid off at the studio and leaves them with the teacher and goes off. I always say you're the one to advocate for your child. Let's never forget the lesson of the Twilight Zone, where 2 children were decapitated because they were doing a stunt that was way too dangerous. They did not have a welfare worker on the set. So, nobody's going to love your kid like you do. And I mean, even my brother, my oldest brother, they were like our gang comedies. So this was way back when, and they would do things that were kind of dangerous. And, my mom steps in, Attila the mom, says, no, my son's not doing that. And of course, everybody hates her. But you have to advocate for your own child. So that's my advice to the parents.
Leslie, do you have any questions for Susan?
I'll make it really quick and easy because I know, first of all, I think all the questions that popped up in my head have really been asked, and it's great because they've all been great answers. So I'll ask something just really fun and whimsical, like who was your favorite person to work with on the Brady Bunch?
Well, I had Natalie Schaefer for one, because she was really, really, really sweet, and she bothered to learn my real name, which was always a plus for me. Another person that bothered to learn my real name was Vincent Price, and I was crazy at him. But I have a special fondness for Imogene Coca because she was a classic, and I knew all the classic people. I watched classic TV when I was a kid, and she was so painfully shy during rehearsals and on the set. And then when the camera went on, she turned into this other person. And I was fascinated by that. And I also have special mention for Charo, who was not during my childhood. She was during the Variety Hour, but Laurie D. Muslow, who you all know, put me together with her, maybe as long ago as 8 years ago. And I helped write a book called Love to Love You Brady's, which is about the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, which was voted the 4th worst show in television history. And Charo was on an episode, and I was writing about her, and I didn't realize how much I enjoyed her. And then I got to see her not that long ago, and she's very magical. She's very kind and a very serious musician, which I admire.
That's
awesome.
Great. Well,
I gave you a whole bunch of them.
Susan, this has been absolutely fantastic, and our time has just flown right by.
It
Unfortunately,
has gone by.
Where can people find you on social media? Do you have Instagram or website?
I Instagram now and then, but I don't really know how to use it that well. I tweet a little bit. I go on Facebook and cause trouble. I should just be there promoting my classes, but instead I get political and cause a lot of problems. I'm on the alternative social medias too, but there's nobody else there. So I'm on Getter and Minds, and
Wow.
So it's an echo chamber, and there's nobody there.
We'll be looking for you. Our fans out there will definitely be looking for you. Thanks again so much, and thanks also to our sponsor, What's Behind the Game, which is a podcast that highlights athletes, professional athletes, sharing their stories as to how they got to where they are. They share their exercise regimens, their diets, their personal stories of working hard at their sport, and it's all to help young athletes, hopefully the superstars of the future. You can find them on iTunes and Spotify. You can find us on our website at Inside the Moms Club. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Inside the Moms Club, and we have a clubhouse, which we are. Find us there, and we're going to have some really interesting discussions on Clubhouse. So definitely, if you're a member, look for us there. Well, Well, I can't believe the time has passed, but we'll be back next time with celebrities and extraordinary moms just like you. We know your me time is precious and valuable, and we are so happy and honored that you spent some of it with us. Remember our motto, keep laughing, because if you don't laugh sometimes, you're going to cry. We'll see you next time on Inside the Moms Club. Bye for now.